at instruments and looking for the docking, sort of what I used to do as a pilot in the Air Force. And then we get to the station and I have to take off the hat of the pilot and put on the hat of the scientist to follow these experiments. But then the station has been on orbit already for over 10 years, at least the oldest part, and it will be going on for another 10 years and even more, hopefully. So from time to time, we need to be plumbers and mechanics. We do a lot of maintenance. It's either preemptive maintenance when we notice something is reaching its time life. We will go and exchange they're called ORUs, orbital replacement units. So we will go and exchange these parts, or if possible, we will fix them so that they last longer. And then we do very ordinary maintenance where we are simply cleaning the filters and keeping everything nice and tidy for ourselves and for the crews that will come after us. And then also the inventory management is a very big part of our life, because even though the universe is infinite, the space station has a very limited volume. So all the different parts that are stored on the space station need to be in a very specific place so that they're easy to find and easy to access. And we're constantly receiving new parts and sending away other parts. And all these movements needs to be followed very accurately. So we are very busy on the station, and we are constantly working in one way or another, and that also explains why we have so much training before we can go on the space station.
And all of the work that you've referred to is all things that you do inside the space station.
That is correct.
From time to time, crew members need to go on the outside of the space station to do some work. And in fact, the plan, as it stands right now, is for you and Chris Cassidy to do some spacewalks. There are Russian spacewalks in the plan as well. Tell us what's right now, what you think is that's on the agenda. Who's going to go out to do spacewalks? What are they about? And tell us about the role that you're going to play. So
my increment is incredibly exciting. Again, from a planning point of view right now, we have Russian EVAs and U.S. segment EVAs. So during the Russian EVAs, Sasha Misurkin, the flight engineer for increment 35, together with my commander, Fyodor Yurchikin, will be going out the station, and I will be responsible for operating the Russian segment part of the EVA. At that point, I will be a specialist for all the checks. So I will be sort of an so-called IV crew member, intravehicular, and I will follow them closely doing the very initial part, the depressurization of the module and closing all the different hatches. So I'm looking forward to that. I will be working together with the Russian Mission Control Center. A lot of communication, all in Russian, procedure to follow. So that will be already for me a very new experience right off the bat as soon as we get on the station. However, you said earlier, some crew members get to do extravehicular activities. Those are very privileged crew member. And as the plan stands now, Chris Cassidy together with me have 2 EVAs planned during our increment. I'd like to think that the work we're going to do outside is very important because we have a dual objective. One is connected to science, because we will be retrieving some experiments that are currently outside the station. We will bring these experiments inside the station, and then with one of the commercial cargo ships, they will come back to Earth, where scientists and engineers will be able to recover those experiments and study them and come back with some results. The other part of the experiment is connected to technology and maintenance. And in a way, what we're going to do is make the space station a better space station so that it can last longer and be more efficient. Specifically, we're going outside to reposition some parts of the space station that have been put up recently with a cargo ship and need to be installed in their final place. We will be also replace and recover some parts that have failed until now, and we will be installing new of those ORUs, so orbital replacement units, to make the space station more efficient. And finally, we will be installing some protective parts, protective blankets, they're called, so that the space station can prolong its staying in orbit. Because, of course, the vacuum of the space is a very harsh environment, not only for us, but also for materials for the space station. So installing these protective blankets will improve the durability of the space station.
That's an awful lot of stuff that you've got on your plate there for 5.5 months. It's too bad you don't get any time off.
We we do get time off. Luckily, as a matter of fact, I was talking to one of the crew members that recently came back to Earth, and that was one of the questions I asked. I asked him, how did you feel about the distribution of time on the space station? On the simulations that we do on Earth, we have a red line which tells us where we are in our working day, and we are always behind. Somehow, during the simulations, we are always running behind, and there is this feeling that you want to do more, and it always seems like we just don't have enough time. And this crew member told me, "Don't worry about it. You will adjust fast to the timeline, and you will be able to do all the work you need to do and have some time off." And that time off is our time to enjoy being on the space station, take pictures, being able to communicate with our friends, our family, and certainly create memories that will stay with us again for the rest of our lives.
Do you have anything special planned to do during that your copious free time?
Well, I don't know if it's special. I very recently started playing the guitar. I used to play a little bit of the piano. On the space station, we have a guitar, we have a keyboard. So for my personal enjoyment, I will be playing those instruments. Hopefully, I will not be bothering too much the rest of the crew. But that would be fun. I can imagine that playing the guitar quietly, looking at the cupola, through the cupola, our planet, should be a very interesting experience. What I'll try not to do, I have a plan of what not to do. I always think that if there is something that I can do on the ground, then I probably shouldn't waste the time doing it on the space station. So I don't plan on watching movies or TV or reading too much. I love reading, but maybe it's something I can do on the ground rather than closed in my little crew quarters on the space station. So I'll try to enjoy the time that I have on the space station and to live it to the fullest.
Another thing that you guys have a lot in the schedule for your increment is visits from cargo ships. There's like a small fleet of cargo ships now that are bringing supplies to the International Space Station. Could you tell me about the different vehicles that are involved there, including, of course, the European vehicle and the new American commercial vehicles?
We have a great fleet of cargo ships. As a matter of fact, we have more cargo ships than we have cruise ships that can bring people on board. So once again, in my increment, we are very lucky. We have a very nice traffic of vehicles, and it's always interesting because they bring new stuff, and it's always it's something that we look forward to. New smells and new toys to play with in a way. So there are quite a few spacecraft coming to the space station while we are on board. Of course, the first one will be another Soyuz ship bringing the crew members. But for cargo, we have the Progress spacecraft. This is the very known Russian cargo ship. It's been flying for many years. It's a very stable platform, and we will have a couple of those coming in, and we will be looking forward to the arrival of those spacecraft. But as a crew, it's mostly taken care of by our Russian crew members. Of course, they own the spacecraft, and they are expert on the approach phases and all that. As a European, I'm obviously looking forward to the arrival of ATV-4, Albert Einstein. I am qualified as the main operator for the arrival and for the docking together with my Russian crew members, and my job will be to closely monitor the approach of the ATV, which is an automatic vehicle, so it will dock completely automatically. However, the crew in the very close phases of the docking is the prime sensor should something go wrong. And of course, it's proven to be a very stable machine, very, very solid, very precise. After millions of miles around the Earth, it docks with a precision of 1 centimeter. That's less than half an inch. So it's a very, very, a very good machine, very good spacecraft, but we still need an operator. The other vehicles that we are expecting will be HTV-4, that is the Japanese vehicle. The difference between the two, even though they're similar in size, is that the Japanese HTV will park near the station, and then we, from inside as astronauts, will operate the robotic arm, the Canadarm2, to grapple it, and then we'll berth it to the station. So once again, a very exciting moment for us, because we will be involved in something that's very unique, grappling a free-floating vehicles and then berthing it. And all the USOS crew members, as a matter of fact, are qualified as main operators for the robotic arm, including myself. So one of us will be flying the arm to grapple that. And then we have also, as it's planned right now, we have for the first time one of the new cargo ships. It won't be a Dragon, that has proven so far to be a very dependable machine, but we will have for the first time a new cargo ship. It's called the Cygnus, and as always, something that is there for the first time is very exciting. It's always something new, and once again, for an Italian, this is interesting because part of the spacecraft, the pressurized compartment, will be built in Italy. So I'm looking forward to see this new spacecraft arriving, and again, we will grapple it and then berth it to the station.
You've given us a real good oversight of the science and the technology and the things that are being worked on board the space station. As you look at it, Luca, what is it that you're learning overall? What are we learning from these missions to the International Space Station that are specifically getting us ready to explore out beyond Earth orbit?
Anytime we start a travel, we start with one step. The space station, as it is now, it's that first step into the future exploration. We are inventing today technology that doesn't exist yet, and the technology that we need to think about that will help us in the future leave the safety of our planet and of low Earth orbit to go further away. When I say that, what I mean is that there is technology now that can send us further away. We have been to the moon, of course, and back. However, we are still behind in making that further step away from what we know, because we simply haven't thought about all the incognitas. Part of that is that a trip to the moon and back is only a 3-day trip. But if we need to go away for 6 months or more, then we have a lot more environmental issues to deal with. Cosmic radiation, inner radiation, all the physiology changes that happen on the human body when we stay away when we are in a weightless environment. There only been less than 500 astronauts all over, and only a fraction of those have been on orbit for over 6 months. So the database that we have is very limited. Technology is helping us create a bigger database and understanding what these changes are and what they do to us on the short term and in the long term. But we need to expand on those data. We need to understand even better what happens to us. Now, what we're doing today will not be used tomorrow or the day after tomorrow or even in 10 years. But 50 years from now, we will use the science and the technology that we are creating right now. And that's why I'm proud of the very small contribution that I will be able to give in my 6 months increment, because I think that I will be opening the doors for future generations to be able to go farther away.